Lesson 21.1, Task 1, Two-way frequency and relative frequency tables. Understand types of data. Quantitative data are numerical data. Categorical data are qualitative in nature, such as blue and red or slow and fast. Quantitative is age 15 or age 19. Categorical would be under age 18 or over age 18. All right, so why do you think under age 18 and over age 18 are categorical instead of quantitative? So under age 18 and over age 18 are categorical instead of quantitative because they divide quantitative data into two qualitative categories. All right, so you can see this is a specific age, and you can see categorical, everything under 18 or over 18. So this includes more ages, so that's why it's categorical. All right, so it says, what is an example of quantitative data that describes temperature? It is too cold to go swimming. It is over 95 degrees Fahrenheit outside. The temperature is 75 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so if you look, quantitative are numerical data. So quantitative data would be the temperature is 75 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, what is an example of categorical data that describes temperature? It is hot. The temperature is 32 degrees. It is 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So categorical would be it is hot. Hot or cold would be categorical. All right, that's all for task 1. If you have any questions, let me know. Lesson 21.1, task 2. Read and interpret two-way frequency tables. A two-way frequency table shows frequency data for two categorical variables. Each number in the table is a frequency, which is a count of the data items that satisfy the conditions for the row and column that the frequency is in. The two-way frequency table shows the results of a survey of 200 randomly selected movie lovers about how they prefer to watch movies. All right, so you can see here preferred method of watching. So we've got theater, handheld device, television. So they've surveyed ages 15 to 49 and 50 plus. So you can see that there's a few of these that are blank. So the first thing we need to do is complete the two-way frequency table. So if you remember looking at tables before, this row gives you this total. So I can take the total and subtract the 2 given to find the third number. So we can do 160 minus 28 minus 44, and that's going to give us 88 for this number. All right, for the next row, we add up the 3 that are given, 20 plus 6 plus 14. Since the one missing is at the end, so this is the total that is missing. So they surveyed a total of 50 plus people. And then the theater, this column will total here. So again, 28 plus 20 equals 48. So those are easy to complete if you just know that the rows total at the end and the columns total at the bottom. All right, this says choose the phrase to complete the explanation as how you found the missing values. So you can find each frequency that is not a total by finding the difference between the total and the sum of the other frequencies in the row or column. You can find each frequency that is a total by adding the frequencies in the row or the column. All right, you can see that 28 people ages 15 to 49 preferred the theater and only 20 people ages 50 and older preferred the theater. Is it valid to conclude that the theater is more popular with people who are 15 to 49? Explain. This says it is not valid because everyone knows that younger folks prefer streaming on their TVs or handheld devices. It is not valid because the number of people surveyed in each age group is vastly different. And it is valid because 28 is greater than 20. So let's look at the table. All right, so it says that ages 15 to 49, they've surveyed a total of 160 people. Ages 50 plus, they only surveyed 40. So those numbers are very different. So the fact that 28 is greater than 20 is not really relative because these don't have the same total. If they had surveyed 160 in each group, each age group, and maybe these numbers were different and these numbers were the same, but because they have not surveyed the same number of people, not even close, then it's not valid because the age groups are vastly different. All right, that's all for task 2. If you have any questions, let me know. Lesson 21.1, task 3. Read and interpret two-way relative frequency tables. A relative frequency table is a two-way frequency table that displays relative frequencies. Recall that a relative frequency is the quotient of any frequency in a two-way frequency table and the total number of data values. So relative frequency equals frequency in a two-way frequency table divided by total number of data values. All right, so if we look at this, it says a two-way frequency table for the data for task 2 is shown. All right, so this is the same table. This is just a two-way relative frequency table. So what they've done is take these numbers from the last task and they've divided each by the total number. So here's the 200 total. So if you do 28 divided by 200, 28 divided by 200, you get the 0.14, which is this number right here. So that these numbers come directly from the other table. All right, so it says complete the explanation of how the entry for movie watchers ages 15 to 49 who preferred watching movies on a handheld device was calculated by selecting in the correct numbers. The relative frequency was calculated by dividing the joint frequency. All right, so if we look, we're looking for handheld devices, ages 15 to 49. Ages 15 to 49, that was the 88 that we filled in. So we do 88 divided by 200. So if we do 88 divided by 200, you get the 0.44. So this 0.44 comes from that. So we divided 88 by the total number of data values, which is 200. All right, what does this entry mean? It means that 44% of all 15 to 49-year-old movie lovers surveyed preferred watching on a handheld device, or it means that 44% of all 15 to 49-year-old people surveyed love movies. All right, so it means they prefer watching on a handheld device. All right, what does the entry 1 in the total row and total column represent? It represents 100% of the 200 people surveyed. So remember that the columns and the rows have to total the number. So in the other table, this had to equal 200, and this all of these added together had to equal 200. So that's why these percents also have to equal 1. So it represents the total of the 200 people surveyed. Two-way tables display two types of relative frequencies. A joint relative frequency is a relative frequency representing a combination of one category of the categorical variables and another category from another categorical variable. A marginal relative frequency is the sum of the joint relative frequencies in a row or column of a two-way table. So you can see The numbers here in the middle of the table, these are considered joint relative frequencies. The number that represent the totals, either in the rows or the columns, those are called marginal relative frequencies. Complete the statements with a number or a word. Blank % of survey respondents who prefer watching on a handheld device are age 50 plus. This is a blank relative frequency. All right, so what % surveyed prefer watching on a handheld device are 50 plus? Here's handheld device. 50 or plus is 0.03, so that represents 3%. Remember, a percent, you move the decimal 2 places, so 3%, and this is called since it's in the middle here, this is called a joint relative frequency. All right, complete the statement to explain where you see 47% in the two-way table. All right, if we look up here, okay, we see 47% here, and that is considered a marginal So this appears, it appears as the number 0.47 in the margin at the end of the handheld devices. All right, what type of relative frequency is this, and what does it mean in the context of the survey? All right, what type of relative frequency is this? Okay, so the 0.47 would be considered a marginal, and it would represent all the total percent of handheld device, the percent of people that preferred watching that way. All right, let's see how they worded it. It is marginal relative frequency. 47% of those surveyed preferred watching on a handheld device. All right, that's all for task 3. If you have any questions, let me know.